Okay, so let's get to what people want to hear you talk about.
That wasn't fun.
No, it felt totally different. I didn't feel the zip. The execution wasn't anywhere near as sharp.
Yeah.
Had something gone on before the game that we don't know about?
I don't think so, George. And that's what it looked like. I mean, yeah, I would agree with that. Like a friend of mine said, can you find out what happened internally? And I just think Tennessee had one of those nights where they were flat. They didn't play well. I mean, look, when you put your uniform on 12 times a year, how can you be flat? But they were. It's one of the great mysteries. It's kind of like the way Alabama looked with Vanderbilt the other day. I mean, how do you explain that? Other than to say, look, it's why we love the sport. I thought Tennessee was going to absolutely hammer Arkansas. I apologized. Look, I was on the 3:30 Eastern time. So I was on like 4.5 hours after that game. And I bet I apologized 30 times. Because, I mean, when you're wrong, you have to own it. And I just can't believe what I saw. And really, now we have to come to grips with the fact that Tennessee offensively under this coach, for the first time, they don't have answers. That's the first time in the Josh Heupel era. Tennessee fans can look at their football team and go, you know what? We don't have answers offensively. This team just does not have answers right now. They better find some answers, but they don't have answers.
Why do you think they don't?
The Arkansas game, George, was a breakdown of epic proportions from the perspective of the offensive line was brutal the other night, just brutal. And the other thing that's happening is a 3-high safety look is what is Josh Heupel's kryptonite, dating back to 2018 when they used to face Tulsa. And that's what they did. That's what Tulsa did to him. And his team struggled against it. Georgia did it to him a couple years ago, the really hot team. Missouri did it to him last year. And so far this year, NC State did it, but Tennessee got in 12 personnel and ran them over. NC State knew they were going to get run over anyway. That's how they play. And then Oklahoma did it. And I think Tennessee was a little surprised by Oklahoma doing it, but then they were shocked when Arkansas did it.
Tony, I want to...
Yeah, go ahead.
No, finish where you were going.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
I want to show that every once in a while I do a little bit of show prep.
Yeah.
And Billy, if you will, put the graphic up there. I know you're saying in just a minute. And what it's going to do, the graphic will show Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Alabama, and the really tough games remaining.
Yeah.
But, Tony, if you look, what really has gone on is that the Arkansas, the Vandies, and the Kentuckys have now created a thing where 3 of those teams no longer have as much margin for error as they did.
George, this league, look, the saying in the NFL is any given Sunday, because surely anybody can be anybody in that league. And outside of Mississippi State in this league right now, what's happened here, and it's transfer portal, it's the deal. Anybody can beat anybody. Tennessee could lose to Florida Saturday. If they don't play right and they commit 8 or 9 penalties again and they're sloppy and they're listless, Florida will beat them. Alabama obviously could beat them. Kentucky, if they weren't Kentucky and the way they're playing right now, probably would be able to beat them. Mississippi State couldn't beat most high school teams, so we'll take them out of the equation. Obviously, the Georgia game speaks for itself. The UTEP game is the game I love because that's the game where we're getting a couple hundred children into the Tennessee game for our Machi tailgate this year. Kids who have one or both parents incarcerated. It's a beautiful thing, and we could use your tickets. Please go to the link over at our website at tclub.team. We could use your tickets.
Hold on. Stop there. I love what you're doing. Say it again. That's awesome.
It's for a Machi. It's for a Machi Knoxville. It is a mentoring program. One or both parents of these children, these beautiful children, have one or both parents incarcerated. We have many kids each year. It's the first time they've ever been on Tennessee's campus, let alone to a football game. It is the Super Bowl of the world to these young people. We throw them a big tailgate. A couple of our patrons for it pay $2,500 a month. They live in Nashville, George, and they pay for it every year. Neil's sweet family came up last year to see it, his wife and his kids. It's the most beautiful thing ever. And by the way, at Vanderbilt is very much now a losable game for the Vols if that Pavia guy is standing up. Because as I told you guys earlier this year, it dawned on me early in the season, Vanderbilt has a credible football team. Now, I didn't know they were that credible, but I will be honest with you, I put a few dollars on them on Saturday. I wasn't expecting them to pull the money line there, Billy Derrick. I was not expecting them to pull the money line.
What would the money line have paid?
Are you kidding?
It was plus 2,200.
2,200?
Yeah.
That's a nice return.
By the way, guys, offshore last week, now that we're talking gambling, if you wanted to bet on that kid from Boise to score a touchdown, that running back, that Genty guy, or however you say his name, you only had to lay $4,400 to win 100. He scored on his first carry.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
So looking at Tennessee's schedule, is it as simple as now saying they must beat either Alabama at home or Georgia on the road, or they are more than 50-50 not getting in?
They're cooked. They lose 3 games, they're cooked. We know that. I mean, first of all, the schedule hasn't been that great to begin with, right? Which is kind of an issue. NC State and Oklahoma aren't as good as they were supposed to be. I mean, there's just a lot of there's a lot about their schedule that's, leaves a lot to be desired. It's not their fault those teams weren't good. They attempted to play a representative schedule, but to me, it's this simple. To me, it's hold serve in your building. You're home now for a month. Beat Florida, beat Alabama, beat Kentucky, beat Mississippi State, and then let's talk about it.
Okay.
They can afford to lose a Georgia game.
I'm going to ask you one more thing and then turn it over to Mr. Sunshine, Kelly Holcomb, Mr. Positive. Is what Arkansas attempted to do in beating Tennessee now the blueprint that everybody else is going to use?
That's a great question for Kelly, because I don't know how hard it is. Look, Sam Pittman said last week in his teleconference on Wednesday, he said, we saw some things, what NC State did, and we decided, we're going to try that. And I thought, well, nobody can just change what they do defensively in 1 week. They played 6 games in a row. They played a rigorous A&M game or very physical game the week before. And they changed what they do, and they did it. I mean, they went out there defensively and did it. Kelly, explain that to me. How do you do that? And execute like that. And execute like that.
You really can. I mean, it's if you could bottle that stuff up, you don't like coaches always wonder why a team comes out flat. You have a great week of practice and you come out flat, and then you have to catch up in the game. And sometimes you lose, sometimes you win, but like that, nobody really knows. It's just human beings playing, and I don't know. It's just it's a crazy deal. What surprised you? Since I'm going now, I guess, George, is that correct?
Absolutely.
And before we get going, hey, Tony, I want to know this. Have you got any money to pay Billy? Because George has already said that he may fire him. So have you got
I never said I was going to fire it.
No, you didn't. I'm putting words in your mouth, but
Yeah.
hey, let's build on it.
Did you say, have I got any money to pay Billy, or do I have any money? Because we could just start with, do you have any money?
No, to pay Billy.
No.
To pay Billy.
No.
To pay Billy.
No and no.
No and no.
Oh.
Billy,
I don't
not
have
the
money.
vote of
How am I going to pay Billy? I can barely
not
pay
the
me.
vote of confidence. Let's put Billy on the screen here. That was not the
No,
what
Billy,
is-
I just don't have any money. It's not just that I have money for you. I have money for Kelly. I have money for George. I have money. I don't have any money.
We got no dinero.
No dinero.
I'll have to
Well,
rethink that then.
we got something going on here, and George said that I made the cut, but he wasn't sure about Billy, and then Billy wanted to run his mouth saying, well, it's okay because I got a job in Knoxville, and I'm like, I guarantee you Tony doesn't have the money for you, Billy, so I just was wondering.
I was
you know what
hoping
I'm saying?
maybe there was a chance, but I guess not.
The resume needed more meat on the bone.
Needed
And Tony
Tony.
Tony right now is not into this interview. He's into his Phillies.
No,
I can
the
tell
Phillies.
by his face.
Yeah.
I can tell by his face. Hey, Tony, what surprised you about that game the other day? Was there anything that's really surprised you? I mean, I was surprised at how it was kind of like the Alabama deal. Alabama, which for 40 years, 23 games, 27 games, I don't remember, but
Yeah.
they could show up and beat Vanderbilt, and the other day it
Right.
didn't happen, and it just seemed the same kind of deal with UT. UT hasn't been very successful when they play Arkansas at Arkansas, but they just felt like, hey, we're the number 4 team in the country. We can just show up and play. And defensively, that wasn't the team that I've been used to seeing.
Balls were unplugged. That was the weird thing about it. The body language. Yeah. And really, look, they faced a quarterback till he got hurt. They faced a quarterback who had the ability to extend plays and make plays downfield. And I was saying, everybody was talking about how their secondary had arrived. And, I'm a show me guy. And until they played somebody that could throw the ball downfield, that just wasn't the case. I didn't believe it. No offense to the competition they played. The competition they played in the first month, though, sort of did a service to them from that perspective, because you got false beliefs, and Tennessee's still a team with a shaky secondary that in the right situations is going to give up plays, just like most teams in college football have a shaky secondary. It isn't just them. But they're not exactly what we call the Georgia Bulldogs at this point back there. So that's not a surprise. What was a surprise to me was just the way their offensive line did not come to play. And what it did, as the night went on, it made Nico look less and less instinctive, less and less the player he can be. I mean, he was lame by the end of the game. He was not good Saturday night. But that offensive line did not cooperate at all. I mean, there were times where, and this is mystifying to me to say this, but Arkansas created havoc and pressure and havoc with rushing 3 players against 5. Should that ever be? I mean, does that math work for you?
No, it does not. When you
Did
can
Tennessee's tackle play the other night? I mean, let me find an adjective for this. Their offensive tackles were dreadful and disgraceful.
Hey, so I got to go back to this. I got to go back to this cover 3 deal, this middle of the field closed deal. Is that a real thing? Like, he struggles with middle of the field closed? Josh Heupel calling plays? Does he struggle with that?
That is the anecdote
Kryptonite.
to beat him is kryptonite.
Cover 3? How about throwing curl flat, Hoss? I can tell him. Do I need to call him curl flat? That's all you got to throw.
How many curl flats you see the other night?
Well, I mean, everybody got these crazy where they want to throw it inside. They want to do rail routes. They want to get guys out, and they want to do it. Just go back to simple football. Keep it simple, stupid.
I wonder if they do that because, Kelly, when I watch Nico, I'm looking at a kid who looks like he's got smoke coming. The game's going really fast for him. He's not getting help up front. And my question is, why are you not taking that kid and look at the end of the game when they had to have that drive? Okay. He rolls out and throws a dart downfield, and Thornton high points it.
Mm-hmm.
Where was that all night long? It wasn't until they had urgency that they were playing from behind that they actually got him on the edge. Why are they not getting him on the edge? If my offensive line can't block and I've got a young quarterback, I'm not going to let him play from the pocket anyway. Another thing you guys will notice, the other night there were no of these RPOs.
Yeah.
And I think it was because he struggled so much with it in the Oklahoma game that they just said, hey, for now, we're just going to take this stuff out. Hey, guys, they're not going to beat Alabama in Heupel's offense if they don't run RPOs. They're just not. They're not going to be able to score enough points. You guys think 22 or 23 points is enough to beat Alabama?
No.
No.
No, the
So,
other night,
yeah,
the other night, I mean, we still got to understand, and we still got to remember. You've talked about it. Everybody's talked about it. He's ultra talented. He's a big kid. He throws the ball really smooth, but he's still a redshirt freshman. And I brought up the other night, the last play of the game. You just can't do that. You've got to give your guys an opportunity. And I'm not sure if he knew he was over the line when he started running or not, but you've got to throw that ball up into the end zone. If you know that you cannot make a play running the football and get into the end zone, you have got to throw that ball up, whether it gets picked off or not. And that just kind of showed his inexperience. And I don't know if I'm sure the coaches got after him after that, but like that's just showing that he's a redshirt freshman and he needs more experience.
Well, I've never seen it. I've seen it twice here now, because Joe Milton did it a couple years ago, ran out of bounds with a ball at the end of a game. So, I mean, those two guys to me are the answer to a trivia question, and they both play for my team. I mean, have you ever in your life seen anybody do high school level? You ever seen anybody do that? I've seen kids get sacked. I mean, I can live with that. If you run around back there and you get sacked and I'm mad at you for not getting the throw off, I can understand that. If you run out of bounds on that's the last play of the game, son. I mean, what are we doing here? We are trying to score.
What did you do when he did that, Tony? Did you pull your hair out?
Well, we were in here, and I'm getting ready for the show, and I'm over here pushing my button, and George knows us, and I'm going to go live as soon as this thing's over. And I'm watching that, and in real time, I mean, we're just – if you go back and listen to the beginning of that show the other night, our intro is like a minute and a half long, and it gives us a chance to get everything going in here. And I just cut the intro off, and I'm like, I got to talk. I can't believe what I just saw. I'm going, and here's the thing about Nico. And again, this is another apology that I made today, and I mean this. It was really irresponsible of people like me to be putting this kid way up here before he got up there. And see, that's the truth.
Not so fast, my friend.
Kelly, I'll be wrong, but I won't stay wrong. Okay. That's one of my favorite sayings in life that I learned from a very wise person. We all in this industry will be wrong, but you can't stay wrong. And when you're wrong, you have to admit you're wrong. Nico he's a clump of clay right now. That's what he is, man. And they got to form him. And for people like me to be saying he's the best quarterback in the league before he ever takes a snap, and that came out of my mouth, is really stupid. And it really does the kid a disservice. Hey, George, I can tell by Kelly's body language that he's really enjoying this.
Oh, I know.
Loving me
I try
in
to
here, because I tell him myself, Kelly, it's the truth, man. Because I don't respect it. Yeah.
I tried to tell George about the Will Levis deal, and he's finally come on board. It's just it's hard to play quarterback, and just because you're talented, you got the arm. You have to be able to, in situations, be able to compete and be able to think clearly. And sometimes guys can't do that. Sometimes guys are ultra talented, like you saw Joe Milton, but he just sometimes it takes experience, and sometimes. I don't know. It's hard to play that position. It really is, and play it consistently. You don't want to be too high, too low. You got to stay in the middle. And when you're a redshirt freshman, man, it is tough, because in the Southeastern Conference, you got bullets coming at you every week. And if you are not grounded, it's tough, man. Tough.
Listen, guys, there's a deal in this league where, now this is one thing I was saying back in the summer. You really don't know what you have in a player till you get in a spot like you did the other night with that kid.
Yep.
Now, you can't make a judgment about him and say he can't play. But I'll tell you this, when a guy runs out of bounds with the ball like that, and Tennessee mismanages that clock the way they did, because they had 2 times they should have called timeouts. He gets a first down, and they run it up to the 37-yard line and gives him a little life. You got to get a timeout there. You can't let 16 seconds run off the clock before you snap the ball. Then you throw the ball downfield, and they waste another 17 seconds. You got to get those. And then one of their timeouts they took later on with the clock was not. It was stopped. I'm going. I'll give Heupel credit. Yesterday at the press conference, a media member
He
asked,
admitted it.
did you revisit? And he said, I totally screwed that up. Which, hey, we had guys here in Butch Jones who, when the math didn't work after a game, said, well, my chart said that's what you did. And we're all going, well, dude, you need to get your chart. You need to get your calculator out and redo your chart.
Here's the chart, the psycho chart.
And because he looked like Sergeant Carter, George, we were calling him Sergeant Charter the rest of the year.
Wow. Billy, put up the more important deal from Chester.
Oh, wow.
He's still
Old
waiting.
habits die hard. You had somebody just pop up there, George, saying that they're concerned about conservative play calling. Listen, here's something I've come to grips with. It's not conservative to protect your quarterback. When your offensive line is not blocking, you are not. Listen, I came into that game last week thinking they were going to attack downfield. They tried it early in the game, and he ate the football 2 or 3 times. Go back and watch it. You are not being conservative when your quarterback can't breathe back there. It's called you're being smart. You're trying to stay in a football game. Fans don't understand that, Kelly, do they? And I'm not picking at a fan, but it's a truth.
Hey, I know. Sorry, George. One more thing, though. When all these kids come in as 4 and 5 stars, I don't care about the 4 and 5 stars. I want to know that can a quarterback hang in there when the middle linebacker's not protected and throw a seam route knowing he's going to get hit in his mouth and he's going to get his nose busted. That's the only thing that truly matters as a quarterback. You have to be able to think during situations like that. And the other night he failed, but he's young. He's young.
Hey, guys, this season's so crazy and so off the rails right now.
Ooh.
And I admitted this on the air today, okay? My favorite player to watch in the SEC, quarterbacks, Vanderbilt. I love that guy, and here's why. He reminds me of the kid that used to play, that Marshall Henderson guy on a football field. That's who this kid reminds me of.
At Ole Miss. Yeah. Wow.
Hey, listen, what is Vanderbilt? What was their win total coming into the year?
0.
Okay, what I mean is
2.5
before they played a game.
It was like 2.
Thank you, George. Like
You're
3,
welcome.
I don't know, whatever it was.
Yeah.
How many wins is this kid worth if he stays healthy to them?
At least 5, 6.
I mean, could you say he's the MVP in the league? It's unbelievable how good he
I
is.
still don't think people realize.
Yeah, you know
he's
as well as I do,
unbelievable,
though.
Billy.
Yeah.
He's unfreaking. And listen, I was like, they're getting this kid from New Mexico State. I knew he was a nice player, but that's the transfer portal. And you give this guy at Vanderbilt a lot of credit to say, I don't have the answers. Hey, I'm bringing your whole coaching. I'm bringing all your offensive coaches in. We don't have any answers.
We're bringing them all.
That's called being smart.
So part of the reason, Kelly, that you sensed that at least at one point Tony seemed a little preoccupied, Mets 1-0.
Oh, boy.
What's worse than that, it was about to be Mets 1-0 in first and second, nobody out, but they overturned the call. So in the middle of what you were doing, I was really heavily monitoring, and I've developed the ability, like you have, George, through the years to multitask, have 3 conversations at once, keep all the balls in the air. It's my form of juggling. I can't juggle, but I am coordinated in that way.
We had one happen. This would have been, I want to say 2008.
Yeah.
Where I'm doing exactly what you're doing. I'm talking, but I'm looking, and all of a sudden I see Tom Glavine signs with the Mets. We welcome all of you. Oh, no. And everybody in the studio just laughed their butt off because it was, we welcome. Oh, no.
That's awesome.
It was the worst nightmare to see that. It killed me. Tell people how they can hear you.
tclub.team is where you find me. Again, tclub.team. We have a couple thousand words up there today. Tomorrow, Watson. I mean, this whole 3 high safety thing, it's got everybody flummoxed here. Listen, Kelly, you'll love this. I had 2 people send me ChatGPT's answer for how you solve that defense today. I had another guy send me a link to somebody's playbook, and how you solve that defense. And so we're looking for solutions here, Kelly. If you want to throw your hat in the ring,
it's called curl flat, Tony. That's all you got to. It's very simple. Curl flat. That's all you got to do.
But why would this guy struggle with it for 5 years then if it's called curl flat?
Because they want it. Sometimes coaches want to be the reason why we win because it's my offense. We want to be the reason instead of just saying,
Kelly calling out my man Josh Heupel.
Kelly
calling out my man Josh Heupel in real time.
I don't know if he's like that. I'm just saying a lot of coaches are. They want to be the reason.
Tony, Kelly seems engaged today.
I will say for once, because my Phillies are probably going to choke out today, Kelly was a lot more engaged in my segment today than I am. So there.
That's okay. You are forgiven.
Thank you, guys.
See ya.
Hey, have a great night. Thanks.